Let's see, let's zoom in. We were getting into some more, we got it. Our map's doing all kinds of things right now. Let's see if we can reset ourselves and reorient ourselves. If not, we'll switch over to a different map. Let's see if we can get our radar pulled back up here. Here we go. Okay, radar is back. I'm not sure what happened there, but we're going to reorient ourselves a little. So notice this is all just to the east of the Metroplex. So this is east of Rockwall County. Kaufman County, you're still seeing some of those strong storms. We got a lot of lightning strikes. You still need to be inside that well-structured building. This is all tracking to the northeast, but we do have those 3 active tornado warnings. That one that is moving right close to Athens, and then this other one that's moving right through Vanzant County. And then we've got that tornado warning that extends up into our northern counties. So this is moving out of Sulphur Springs. This will pass just to the east of Paris. Paris, you've still got a strong cell moving right close to you, but just off to the east and pushing closer to the Red River, we've got a little bit of rotation with that cell as well. And this is just that line that's been stretching east of 45. I'm going to turn the clouds back off here so we can get a closer view. We're going to get rid of those lightning strikes too. Just keep in mind there is frequent lightning associated with all of these cells. That's a cause for concern in and of itself, but on top of that we have the rotation too. Let's remove our cloud coverage here. All right, now let's zoom back in, take a look at that velocity scan and see where these things are all trending here. So we've got this tornado warning that is shrinking. This is headed over Canton. So let's take a look at that velocity scan. We noticed just a couple of minutes ago when we were talking with Ken that this was really starting to weaken. The rotation was waning, and we are still seeing that trend. There is still some broad rotation here. Notice those greens aren't quite as deep of a green. Okay, and now the National Weather Service, we've just been talking about this. They did just expire that tornado warning. So it looks like the rotation has weakened enough. You still need to be in that safe spot. Really, you can come out of the safe spot, but stay in that sturdy building. Reason for that, we do still have those large hailstones. We have severe sized hail, that severe thunderstorm warning. Places like Canton, you want to make sure you are close to that safe spot. Don't venture too far because we do have a line of storms just to the south of you, and these have been riding along this same frontal boundary for the last several hours. They've picked up the pace, they've picked up the intensity. Couple of things are happening out there. We have the frontal boundary, we have the lift. On top of that, we're getting into the peak heating of the day. No, it's not hot out there, but we're getting up there in temperatures. And then on top of that, we certainly have the moisture. We're pulling all of this moisture in, and those are those primary ingredients to develop some of that instability. So we've seen that rotation weaken a whole lot as this moves over 20. That is a great sign. You're not in the clear completely for the rest of the afternoon and evening. So places like Canton, make sure you're keeping a close eye on things, staying weather aware. We're going to zoom back out here and take a look at our other tornado warnings because we've got the one just to the south of here, and we do still have some decent rotation associated with this one. Looks like we've got hail upwards of 2 inches of hail in this spot here. This is headed toward Caney City, Malakoff, Eustis. Eventually, this will pass just to the east of Gun Barrel City. Of course, that's an area we've been talking about the last couple of minutes because we've seen several cells pass over that area. But this is right where we're seeing that rotation. Notice those reds and those greens kind of meeting together. That is where we are seeing some significant rotation, and then down south of that area as well. That green, those are those winds that are moving toward the radar. The red is the wind moving away from the radar. And we are seeing some large hail associated with this cell. We have the severe thunderstorm warning, and on top of that, we've also got the tornado warning too. So this includes Henderson and Navarro counties with this cell here. Let's go ahead and remove that. Zoom back out here. Malakoff, you're in the direct path of this. This is just to the west of Crossroads. We've still got some good rotation there. This will head right toward Trinidad, in fact. Headed that way right now. Malakoff, this is on your doorstep here shortly. right, let's zoom back out here. Head up to the north. We have got those 2 active tornado warnings at this point. This one that is moving to the northeast of Sulphur Springs. And in fact, this is an area I want to take a look at. We're seeing quite a bit of broad rotation there. And then right here, this is why that warning's in place. That pocket right there.
Yeah, McKenna, while you take a look at that, I just wanted to jump in if I could here, because I've been monitoring some of the X and the Twitter feeds coming out of Canton right now. Can't show you the pictures right now because we just don't have it available to post to you, but I can tell you the stuff that is being shared right now on social media. A lot of dark skies out there. It almost looks like nighttime in some of these photos that we're seeing. And again, the big concern right now is for the folks who are out there at First Monday trade days. Obviously, 450 acres, that's a lot. We know that there are hundreds of people that are down there as we speak right now underneath all of these elements. I'm hoping that by now they heeded some of the warnings and some of the advice that was given earlier today to seek actual shelter, because, you know, these are just rows and rows and rows of tents and you know, basically just out in the open. But again, we're keeping a close eye on it. As you mentioned, it seems like perhaps it already expired, the tornado warning?
Yeah, for Canton, exactly. Yeah. That tornado warning we were mentioning, still seeing a little bit of broad rotation with it near Canton. The National Weather Service did expire that warning. So Canton is still a spot to watch where we've seen some rotation with that cell. So it's still a cell to keep a close eye on. But we do have that severe sized hail with it, upwards of 1 inch and larger in a couple of spots. And then those 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So still an area under a severe thunderstorm warning. And then just up to the northeast of there, this is kind of the timing of that cell. Looks like we have now got another tornado warning. Once again, that looks like that same cell that moved out of Canton. There we go, starting to pick up some additional rotation there. Purple's kind of trying to get in the mix there, but we've got that green and the red. This is south of Sulphur Springs. This will head toward Como, Seymour. Those reds and those greens mixing together there. Picton, you are likely going to end up in the path of this or just on the verge. That's still going to be a place to keep a very close eye on things. This cell right there, where you see those greens and those reds, this is going to move over 30. Let's give you a look at the timing of this path. The storm path here. It's kind of taking an east-northeasterly track. So that heads towards Sulphur Springs by about 3:26 this afternoon. It is 3:05 right now. So you've got about 20 minutes, but a little bit less than that. You want to be in the safe spot by the time it arrives. So take the next 5 minutes or so, get the kids, get the pets together, get into that safe spot. Turn the First Alert Weather Team on your cell phone, grab that CBS News app, and hop on the stream there, and we'll be able to walk you through when it's safe to exit that safe spot. But make sure you're in that sturdy building, in that interior room with no windows, no exterior walls, lowest level of that sturdy structure. Places like Seymour, you've got this in your backyard by about 3:13. Riley Springs, 3:19. Mahoney, 3:41. 3:49 for Dyke and 3:58 for Saltillo. That is headed to the northeast. This will pass right over I-30. And then on top of that, we have the tornado warning that is just to the north of there. So these are kind of traveling in the same paths as each other, right along that frontal boundary that we've been watching.
And McKenna, if I can, because we're again just monitoring at this point some of the tweets coming out of Canton right now. Some folks asking about the tornadoes being likely rain wrapped. Is that something that
there is a good chance they are, Ken? And the reason for that, you know, we've looked at the reflectivity scan. I'll give you another look at that here in just a second. That cell just to the north, Bogota, this is on your doorstep, 3:35. Detroit, this heads your way about 4:01 and eventually makes its way along the Red River. So Ken is is talking about that area that we saw the tornadic warn storm near Canton. At this point, let's turn on the reflectivity scan and just show you how much rain we have on the map here. Those reds, those pinks, those deep oranges. We have heavy downpours right along this frontal boundary. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings. In fact, looks like we've got a new one issued right there as well. This is just east of Terrell. Terrell, you're still picking up some heavy rains. Just to the east of Kaufman County, this gets into Vanzant County, and then this heads farther to the northeast. We've also got that warning just to the south of there. Notice those deep reds there. So Ken's question, could these be rain wrapped? Absolutely. Yeah. We've got a lot of rain out there associated with these cells, and you start to get some of that rotation, and that pulls the rain in with it. It makes those tornadoes a little bit harder to see. The one thing that is working in our favor is that it is daylight out there. It's gray, but it is daytime. These are not moving through into those overnight hours. That helps us out a little bit. But if you do get those emergency alerts on your phone, if you're walking nearby and you hear something, you've got to make sure you're staying weather aware really for the next several hours. I think most of our severe threat will kind of linger through about 6:30 this evening, and then we'll be in the clear. But it's only 3 o'clock right now, so we've got a couple more hours to just make sure we're keeping a close eye on all of this. We have another tornado warning now for Vanzant County. This is to the east of the severe thunderstorm warning that we've been watching. Okay, so this does include Canton. Once again, I think most of the rotation near Canton, it's moving away from Canton. That is good news. This heads toward, Ken, is this Grand Saline?
Yeah, that's what that looks like. Grand Saline out there. Right near, yeah, the sort of Saline, you're right, Grand Saline. And that's right in that area that you've been monitoring,
yeah,
that you've been sort of focused on right now.
So Grand Saline there, this is all to the west of Van. This is east of Edgewood.
Edgewood, yeah.
Yep. We're going to zoom in and get that street level view. We are seeing some pretty significant rotation right on I-20, right over 20 right now, and that frontage road next to it. County Road 1215. Getting into some rural spots, but just like Ken has been mentioning, these rural spots where we've got things like First Monday Flea Market that happen this weekend. Grand Saline, this heads your way. Let's walk you through the timing of that. Fruitvale, you are just on the edge of this warning. Got that rotation right there. So Grand Saline, this heads your way, 3:49. So you have some time to quickly make those preparations. Grab the kids if you've got them, the pets, bring them inside, get to the lowest level, get to that safe spot. You don't want any exterior walls, you don't want any windows, and stay there through the duration of this tornado warning. This is tracking to the northeast. Wentworth, this is on your doorstep a little bit earlier, 3:15. You've got about 4 minutes. Make sure you're headed to that safe spot right now if you're not already there. We've got Jones at 3:42 and then Grand Saline 3:49 there as that tornado warning extends through Grand Saline. That area of rotation is right close to Wentworth at this point. I'm going to bring this up here so you can see right exactly where we have that rotation. So again, that is just to the east of Canton, moving over 20 as we speak. 20, not a good place to be right now, moving right over I-20. Just to the east of Canton.
Yeah, and McKenna, I had to double check here because the time slips me, but just for reference here, and now that I'm seeing it, I thought it was a lot sooner or earlier than that, but it was back in 2017, this same area. It was late April, early May. There was an outbreak of tornadoes out in that area as well. There was an EF4 that tore right through this same area that we're talking about right now. At the time, 4 deaths. Many people got hurt out there, and I believe, and again, I'm cross-checking here because I didn't want to completely speak from memory, but they registered some high winds at the time, saying here's some tornadic winds of about 170 miles an hour or so for EF4. I mean, that's pretty big, isn't it? That's
an incredibly strong tornado. I mean, it peaks at EF5, right? So you're talking incredibly strong winds that can do damage to even those sturdy structures. And so that's why we say, you know, mobile homes are never safe spots to be. If you are under that tornado warning, if you can head to a neighbor's house, you certainly don't want to be outside in this. You want to head into that shelter, whether that's at a workplace or at your home. Cars, also not safe places to be. If you are out in those open fields, you want to find a low-lying spot. Really, best case scenario at that point, find a low-lying spot in the ground and just huddle up there until this threat passes. But we are seeing some strong rotation there. Ken mentioned it was right this time. You said 2017, Ken?
Yeah, 2017. So a little later on. I mean, you know, we're early April right now. This would have happened late April.
Yeah, a couple weeks out.
But it's right in the season, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
This is when these outbreaks take place.
We are just entering severe storm season for the North Texas area, and this is now a confirmed tornado. Looks like we have a confirmed tornado. This is east of Canton, that purple box that you see there. Going to make sure you can see right where that rotation is too. We have a confirmed tornado. Once that box turns purple, it's been confirmed by a spotter, by photos from the National Weather Service. Once that box turns purple, there is likely a tornado on the ground, and it's right there. This is northeast of Canton. Again, getting into some of those county roads. This is just to the north of 20, which means weather along 20 is pretty poor in those areas. But we've got that confirmed tornado. That box is now purple, and we've got another tornado warning just to the east of there to talk about as well. I want to make sure I'm touching on that, but just if you are in the path of this, we have some tight rotation. We are talking rural roads, but you'll know where I'm talking about if you live in these areas, if you frequent these areas. This is going to head right over 110. State Road 110, it looks like, and this is headed into Grand Saline. I want to walk you through the timing of that one more time because like I said, we've got a tornado, it looks like, on the ground in this area. So Grand Saline, this is on your doorstep by 3:50. But keep in mind, these do pick up the pace a little bit. Sometimes they slow down. It could get there a little bit earlier. What I want you to do in the next 5 minutes or so is wrangle the kids, the pets, get them inside the house, get them into that safe spot. Make sure you're there through the duration of this warning. Turn us on your phone. Make sure you're watching the stream. You can pull us up on the CBS News app. Click Texas, pull the stream up there, and we'll be able to walk you through the duration of this event. But that is 3:50. This extends and this heads toward Grand Saline. That's right where that rotation is, where those greens and those reds meet together. Let me remove this tracker here. But once again, Grand Saline, 3:50. You are now under that purple warned box, which means there is a very good chance that tornado, that has become a tornado. It has touched the ground. It's made contact. There's the rotation there. This is headed right toward 110. It's there really shortly. Crossing over, just moving north, in fact, of 20 and the frontage road off of 20 there. This will head toward 80, right through Grand Saline. Fruitvale, you are just west of this warned area. You're still going to deal with some nasty storm activity here soon. You probably already are, in fact, but we have got some tight rotation there. Those greens moving toward the radar, the red moving away from the radar. And then this does now extend. It looks like the National Weather Service is extending that east of there as well. Places like Mineola, Quitman, Alba, just because you are in that direct path of that tornado. So they're giving you a little bit of a heads up. Looks like that's what's going on there. You're in the path there. We have hail with these. Upwards of $half sized hail at this point, some gusty winds too. And then notice we got one purple box, that's that confirmed tornado. We have 3 other tornado warnings. Turn the reflectivity scan back on here. We have those heavy rains, so like we were talking about with Ken just a couple of minutes ago, great chance that these are rain wrapped, making them a little bit harder to see. The visibility is a little bit worse. But if you do get that warning, make sure you have those emergency alerts on your phone. Hopefully you already have them. And when you get that warning that you're inside that area, head to the safe spot. Once you're in that safe spot, pull us up. Make sure you're watching the path of all of these cells, because notice they're all traveling generally along the same area. We have this stationary frontal boundary, and they're going to continue to ride along that front till we get to about 6:30 this evening. That's when I think most of that severe threat for us will start to exit. We've got this cell that is moving. This is east of Paris at this point. That's going to start to cross over the Red River. In fact, it may be doing so right now, but we have more just behind it. That purple box, I want to take another look at that because that is the one we're concerned about all of these. But when you are dealing with a likely confirmed tornado, that's when things get a little bit more concerning. Confirmed tornado for Vanzant County. That is, guys, just heads up, back in the control room, that tornado has been confirmed for Vanzant County. That is headed toward Grand Saline. We're going to turn that velocity scan, and that looks like it is intensifying, unfortunately, as it heads toward Grand Saline. This is north of 20. This is moving away from Canton. To the northeast, we have some large hail with that. And then on top of it, this is going to cross right out over 80. So I'm going to walk you through the timing once again, as we do have some tight rotation right through that area. And we'll continue this into, notice they have extended that tornado warning farther to the northeast. The spots in that path. Grand Saline 331. This is picking up some pace. We just talked about this. Sometimes these things speed up a bit. 331 Grand Saline. This is on your doorstep. Hopefully you're already in that safe spot. Alba looking at 359, but I would anticipate it a little bit sooner than that. 405 for Calvary. Once again, anticipate it sooner than that. Head to that safe spot now. Cozy up and just stay there until this threat passes. Looks like we have also got some decent rotation near Sulphur Springs. Let's see. Yes, we do. Sulphur Springs, this is moving right into Sulphur Springs as we speak. So that's that green, the red's there. That'll cross over 30 here shortly. That is near Como. That'll move over 30. There's that rotation that you see there.
So McKenna, are these two possibly separate tornadoes that we're talking about?
These are two separate tornadoes, okay. Yeah. So Ken, what we're dealing with, I'll walk you through that here. Let's remove that box. So this is our confirmed tornado in Vanzant County. This is headed toward Grand Saline. That purple box, notice, extends into this red box here. This is for the same cell. Oh, and we have got more rotation. It's a little bit harder to see that far out. That is another confirmed tornado. Looks like we're going to zoom in here. You can see underneath there, we've got those greens. The purple kind of hides things a bit.
Yeah, and just so you know, I'm also checking across different Twitter handles and social media as well, just to see if any of the emergency or the county emergency agencies have issued any kind of confirmation as well. But it seems like your confirmation is coming in a lot quicker than the information that we're getting from the ground in Vanzant County as we speak.
Yeah, once that box turns purple, Ken, you know, typically that means they verified it from a spotter, a trained spotter. Not just anybody can call in and say, hey, we have a tornado on the ground, but a trained spotter. And what you've got to see is that connection with the ground, because remember, until it hits the ground, it's a funnel cloud, and it does a lot more damage once it does make that contact. But we now do have those two purple boxes, and that is for two separate areas of rotation. In fact, I'm looking, looks like we also have hail within these cells, upwards $half size. That's what we've been talking about. So this is getting, all right, and it looks like we also have another tornado warning that is incoming for Henderson and Athens. There we go. Yes, we do. There is the rotation with that. Murchison, you're in the path of this.
Wow.
Brownsboro. Right. Okay, so Athens Fish and Game, this is right over top of there. This is moving away from 175. Brownsboro, you're in the path. Let's walk you through that path, in fact. There's the rotation. There's where it starts. So again, this is for Henderson and Vanzant County. Vanzant County has quite a few ongoing tornado warnings in different spots, but like I was walking Ken through just a second ago, these are all different areas of rotation. This is not one tornado causing all of this. One cell can cause more than one tornado, but we are seeing multiple spots of rotation. Murchison, this is on your doorstep, 331. Opelika, 343. Brownsboro, 354. This heads toward Redland by about 419. Edam, this is 402. There's where that rotation is right there. And you can see that is some tight rotation. This is moving away from Athens and headed to the northeast. So eventually this will cross over 20 and head toward Lindale, head right near Van. In fact, Van is included in that warning. And we've got a couple of warnings. The boxes are kind of odd shaped because of where the rotation is and how many cells we have. Let's reorient everything so I can give you an idea of who has the warnings and where. Hopefully you have those alerts on your phone. We have several purple boxes. Those are those confirmed tornadoes. And then check out all the red boxes we've got on the map. Those are tornado warnings, areas where it is likely that we could see a tornado. This is still some really strong rotation. Grand Saline, this is on your doorstep right now. This is moving over 80. That is tight rotation through there. So Grand Saline, this is moving into Grand Saline. That is a confirmed tornado on the ground. This has made contact with the ground. Hopefully you're hunkering down in that safe spot. This continues. We have that purple box. It looks like what the National Weather Service is doing here is issuing that purple box farther to the northeast as an extension of this cell in Grand Saline because this is an active tornado on the ground. I'm not seeing much rotation quite into here just yet. But this cell, again, that has made contact with the ground, that is tracking to the northeast. So we have that extension of the confirmed tornado warning once that box turns purple. And as I said, the National Weather Service has already confirmed that tornado in Vanzant County, and that is tracking through Grand Saline as we speak. That'll cross eventually up toward Mineola, up toward Quitman, really Quitman right in the path of that, as this continues its northeastward track. So those purple boxes, those confirmed tornadoes, confirmed tornado for Vanzant County there that is tracking to the northeast, that heads toward Quitman. It arrives in Quitman or near that area. Alba 346, Calvary 351, Quitman 404, Yantis 411, Coke 421. Now take these time frames and subtract a little bit because sometimes these storms pick up in intensity. We've got to just give ourselves a little bit of extra time. Make sure you're headed to that safe spot just through the duration of the warning. Grab the kiddos, grab the pets, make sure you're in that interior room, lowest level, no windows, no exterior walls. In the path of that is strong rotation moving right over Grand Saline. And that is headed to the northeast. Once again, Alba, it is on your doorstep right about 346 and continuing a little farther to the northeast, headed toward Yantis at 411, but could get there a little bit earlier, and I would anticipate it getting there a little bit earlier. Let's zoom back out here because we've got quite a few areas to talk about. In fact, that is some tight rotation. We're starting to see some of that wrapping around. The green again is what's moving toward the radar. The red's moving away from the radar. And we've got that moving right through Murchison right now. This is moving away from Athens. Still some pretty poor weather in Athens, but we've got a couple of spots of rotation, it looks like, with this cell. But the tightest rotation that we're seeing is moving right over Murchison. This is passing over 175. Looks like we've got it moving over State Road 31 as well, right as we speak, right through Murchison, Mockingbird Lane. We've got some more county roads there. Stella Street, County Road 3820. This is headed close to Brownsboro. Looks like we're getting some reports from Vanzant County. We have a tree on a house and a roof blown off a house in Vanzant County, all the way from that area where, you know, we saw those strong gusty winds ahead of that anyway, and those can do some damage in and of themselves. But then we have that confirmed tornado on the ground in Vanzant County. So that'll be something to watch. And that is still some very tight rotation. This is moving right over Grand Saline, right over 80. Highway 80 there. This is east of Fruitvale. This is moving over Grand Saline. And it looks like it's picked up the pace a little bit there. We have some hail with this. We've talked about how it's likely these are rain-wrapped tornadoes because of how much rain is dumping up along this frontal boundary that is just stationary. This has caused that storm activity for the last several days. That's why we've had those first alert weather days. And it's been these areas that have already been hit hard by this. Flooding has been a threat. We have flood watches extending up into our northeastern counties, and we're getting additional rain on top of that. So this poses all kinds of threats, but of course our most immediate concern is that area of rotation right near Grand Saline that is tracking to the northeast, headed toward Alba, headed toward Quitman. This will pass just to the northwest of Mineola. That's still going to be a spot to watch. You are still in that warned box. These can wobble a little bit, and as they do, you just got to make sure anywhere within that box you are keeping a close eye on things. We now have another tornado warning issued. This is just to the southeast of there. This includes Lindale and now Mineola. You are included in both of these. This is an extension here of that rotation in Murchison. So the National Weather Service, once again, National Weather Service is giving you some time to prepare. So we have that rotation. This is northeast of Athens, headed toward Edam. Eventually, this pushes in toward Mineola and tracks to the northeast. It gets just north of Tyler, but back off to the west there. We've got Canton. You are now excluded from that warned area. You are still under the severe thunderstorm warning. We're getting in the weeds here, but what that means is the rotation is moving out of Canton. And notice that is going to pass just to the west of Mineola. In fact, right now, that rotation is passing just west of Mineola. Places like Canton, where we know we've got a lot of people outdoors, or we've got a lot of people making preps for that first Monday flea market. We have got upwards of quarter-sized hail and larger. We've seen upwards of about 1.5 inches in diameter. So we're getting up there into $half sized hail. We're getting into ping pong ball sized hail and gusty winds as well. Those are those orange boxes, but that purple box, that is that confirmed tornado. Maybe lifting up and headed back down to the ground. They can do that as they move farther to the northeast, and that is why we have that extension of that purple box. Once that box is purple, we know we have that confirmed tornado on the ground, and then that additional area of rotation, which is really wrapping closely together. This is northeast of Athens, headed toward Edam. This will pass over 20 and eventually make its way toward Mineola over time. Let's walk you through the path of that, the track, walk you through the timing of that once again as they pick up the pace. Sometimes they slow down. Brownsboro, 340. You have, give or take, 10 minutes. Get to that safe spot now. Ben Wheeler, 347. Van, 359. Hideaway, about 406. Lindale, about 412. Mineola, about 422. And then as we take a look at this rotation, we've got a spot near Sulphur Springs. I don't want to discount that. We've been keeping a really close eye on this area that we know does contain that confirmed tornado near Grand Saline. Grand Saline, you're not quite in the clear, but it's getting close. Hang on a little bit longer. This has moved to the north of 80, but it's still close. This will pass over Highway 69. This heads into Alba, kind of making that east-northeastward track at this point. Alba, 348, not a whole lot of time there. I would anticipate that within the next 10 minutes or so. Lake Fork, 358, Yantis, 422, again, give or take. Expect that these will speed up a little bit as they get closer to your area. And then as we move farther to the north, we're getting into Sulphur Springs and places like Clarksville. Sulphur Springs, that is still some decent rotation there. This is moving right into Sulphur Springs, and in fact, just to the east sides of the city. This is kind of between Sulphur Springs and Como. This will pass over 30 here shortly. And eventually this will push along the Red River over time as it follows directly in the path of the other 2 tornado warnings that we have stretching along the Red River, moving through Clarksville. Rotation has waned with this cell. That is good news, as it does take that northeastward track there, moving through Clarksville. Here's where the Metroplex is. Notice all of this activity. All of this activity is well off to our east. This is east of 45, well to the east of 35. That is where we have all of these warned boxes. We've seen that frontal boundary that's just been stalled here for the last several days. So we've already seen the soaking rains in those areas. We have flood watches in effect for our far northeastern counties. This is adding rain on top of that. And then we've got the tornado warnings as well, and that confirmed tornado. This is just off to the west of Mineola, those purple boxes. That is where we have seen that confirmed tornado. The secondary purple box, that's not a different area of rotation. That is for that same area of rotation. Notice how it is going to move into that secondary purple box there. Red boxes, those are the tornado warnings. Those are where we're seeing those areas of rotation. Not confirmed tornadoes at least yet, but we could see that to come as the National Weather Service evaluates things. But those purple boxes, especially where we've got those concerns right now. That confirmed tornado now moving out of Grand Saline. This is moving right near Alba, but it's really passing just to the south of Alba and headed toward Quitman. Going to take a look at the timing of that again. And then we've still got a strong area of rotation down near Brownsboro. And it looks like the National Weather Service has shrunk that warning a little bit. It's a little bit more isolated. This is moving over Brownsboro right now, headed toward Edam. And eventually will make its way over 20 and into Lindale. There's where it sits now. Okay, so Brownsboro, this is on your doorstep at 3:39, give or take. Expect this to get there a little bit sooner. Edam 3:46, Chandler 3:53, Hideaway 4:09, Lindale 4:15, Mineola 4:28. I would subtract at least 10 minutes from that. These storms can pick up in speeds, and as we've seen, they have done that just in the last 30, 45 minutes or so. They'll likely get there a little bit sooner. So just make sure you're taking shelter in that safe space, that interior room with no windows, no exterior walls. Stay there through the duration of this. Pull up our CBS News app, pull up the Texas Stream. We'll be able to walk you through all of this. And as soon as that rotation leaves your area, I'll be sure to let you know of that. But we do have that significant rotation down near Brownsboro. This is to the northeast of Athens, and that is tracking to the northeast. Places like Brownsboro at 3:39. That's in about 5 minutes. Hopefully you're in that safe spot already. And then moving away from Canton, that's that cell that we know was a confirmed tornado just outside of Canton in Vanzant County. That is moving to the northeast. Let's get another close view here. We have some hail associated with all of these. Our Vanzant storm is moving into Wood County. That is that confirmed tornado. It's that purple box there that is now crossing over into Wood County out of Vanzant County. And it's still got some tight rotation right there. This is headed just south of Alba toward Quitman. And then we've got additional warnings to the north of that. Sulphur Springs, you are still under a warning. This is passing over 30. Got all kinds of warn boxes as we head up through Clarksville. You can see a little bit of rotation there. We'll turn our reflectivity scan back on. This gives you a good idea of just how much rain is falling in this area right along that stalled frontal boundary. We've got heavy rains. We have those deep reds, so a good chance that we are getting some rain wrapped into that tornado, and it makes it a little bit harder to see, right? It starts to pull in some of that rain. It lowers the visibility a bit. And that is what we're likely seeing with all of these cells. We've got some deep colors on the radar there. Those deep reds, that's that heaviest rain. We have flood watches that extend up along the Red River and for our northeastern counties. Those were already in effect. So we're adding these heavy rains on top of it. Flooding is also a concern. But of course, that most immediate concern is that confirmed tornado moving out of Vanzant County into Wood County. And then we've got that line of storms that stretches up along and through Sulphur Springs. And then just to the east of Paris, we've got a couple of warnings south of there as well. Kaufman County, you're still dealing with likely some smaller hail. We're talking pea-sized hail. No severe warnings through Kaufman County right now. But as I've mentioned, our severe threat will likely extend to about 6:30 this evening. So those are all going to be spots to watch through that time frame. But we have got half a dozen active tornado warnings. Zoom out here. You can see all of those boxes extending from about Athens up through Mineola, Sulphur Springs, east of Paris, gets up along the Red River. We're going to take a look at our confirmed warning once again that is moving into Wood County as that starts to move out of our area, out of Vanzant County. Notice we still have some very tight rotation with that cell there. Again, this is south of Alba. We're going to get to that street level view. This is moving over State Highway 69. This is headed toward Quitman. This is north of 80. And it's right where State Highway 69 meets State Road 182. Then we're getting into some county roads there, 2620. Of course, you're only going to know of those areas if you live in this area. We're getting into some rural pockets of Alba. Quitman, this is headed your way. Take another look at that storm path.
Okay.
Lake Fork, 357 there. Once again, as that moves into Wood County and kind of starts to move out of our area, it's still just close enough to Vanzant County. That's still an area I do want to keep a really close eye on. We have another confirmed tornado. This is up along the Red River. This is for Red River County. This is moving right through Clarksville. Gets a little bit farther from the radar site and gets a little harder to see that rotation. Okay, so the National Weather Service is going to expire the confirmed tornado from Vanzant County. There is still active rotation from that cell, but it has moved into Wood County. So if you live in Vanzant County, you are no longer under that threat. National Weather Service has expired that warning for Vanzant, but notice this is right on the edge of Rains County and gets into Wood County. This is north of Mineola. That is that rotation, and you can see it so clearly, that green moving toward the radar, the red moving away from the radar. And those are starting to we see a little bit of wrapping together, which means there's a good chance that it's pulling in some of those heavy rains as well. Rain wrapped tornado, you lose some of the visibility. You can't see it as clearly as it heads your way. Hopefully you're in that safe spot if you are anywhere in the vicinity of that purple box. That is moving through Wood County. And then we've got some decent rotation there too through Sulphur Springs. This is just north and east of Sulphur Springs. Let's zoom into that cell there. That is strengthening. We've seen that just in the last couple of minutes here. Sulphur Springs moving over 30. This is moving west of Mount Vernon. Saltillo 348, Hagensport 410, Bogota 434. That's when it arrives in your area, give or take 10 minutes or so. Just make those plans right now. If you're in Bogota, you still have some time to prep, but you've seen several cells work right out over your area. Hopefully you've already taken shelter, you've already been in that safe spot, and I would head back there as that next cell works to move through your area. And then we get into Red River County, where we have another confirmed tornado, this moving right into Clarksville. Where we've got that confirmed tornado. Once again, likely they've heard from a spotter. The National Weather Service has seen video, whether from a road camera or some kind of trained spotter, that has caused them to confirm that a tornado is actively on the ground here. This is right near Clarksville, where we're seeing some of that rotation, getting farther from the radar site here. So it's a little bit harder to see those velocity scans quite as clearly. But like I said, purple box there, indication that there is a tornado on the ground. These are all taking a similar path. They're moving to the northeast, and over time, they cross over the Red River. And so we'll see that with the rest of these cells as well. That is right all along that frontal boundary that we've been watching the last several days. So from about Kaufman County and off to the east, from Corsicana off to the east, this is all east of Collin County, really east of 45. And then up into the northeast, we've got those heavy rains. Those stretch as far west as about Paris. Those get into places like Red River County, where we have that confirmed tornado warning. Those severe weather threats, notice they are tracking a little bit farther to the east. They started here. They started near Kaufman County, but they are shifting a little farther to the east, which is a sign that that front is moving that way, which is also a good sign that our severe weather threat is going to wrap up a little bit sooner for our area. It'll move into East Texas, places like Tyler, likely going to start to see some of that warned activity as well. But at this point, we have two purple boxes We have that confirmed tornado that moved out of Vanzant County that has headed into Wood County. And then right along the Red River County, in fact, we have that area of rotation that will eventually move over the Red River and into Oklahoma. Sulphur Springs, we've still seen some tight rotation through that area, and that's one I want to keep a close eye on as it takes that northeastward track. Then just outside of Athens, we still have that tornado warning. That is not a confirmed tornado, but there is still rotation with that. It's still one to take seriously. All of these are if you are under that warned area. Of course, those purple boxes are when we have confirmation that it has touched down. Let's head back over to that velocity scan here. There's the rotation with the cell. This is moving right out over Edom. And again, we've been talking about Canton. This is going to move just to the east of you. Moving over Edom, this will cross back over 20. We're just seeing slight nudges a little bit farther to the east, which, like I said, is a good sign that our frontal boundary is shifting a little bit farther to the east, and we'll head into East Texas and no longer be an issue for North Texas. But we've still got to remain weather aware for the next little while as we push all of this out of our area. There is where that confirmed tornado is for Wood County. This is just to the west of Quitman. This is kind of northwest of Mineola. But that rotation passing right out over Edom.
Hey, McKenna, it's Ken here again. I just want to interrupt here. One of the things I'm noticing here as you're tracking all of this is sort of the speed at which it's moving north in. Because even according to some of the models that you were showing, you were saying it was going to show up in different places even a little bit earlier. Yeah. What is that kind of an indicator of, other than the fact that it's just moving faster? I mean, does that sort of also speak to the intensity of the storms?
It does, yeah. As these things pick up in pace, and in fact, when they do start to move a little faster, we want them out of our area quicker, right?
Sure,
so we kind of hope for that, move through a little bit quicker. You don't want it to sit over the same area for too long. These storms generally are moving northeast at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. So if you think of that in your car, you're not getting up to highway speeds by any means. Sometimes these cells do get moving that quickly, but also, when you talk about, it's a blessing and a curse, you get these things moving through quickly, they may stay on the ground a little bit longer. So generally, with all of these cells, we're seeing them moving to the northeast 40 to 50 miles per hour. That might mean they scale back 10 miles per hour and they're only moving 40 for a time, and then they'll pick up the pace a little bit. It's strongly dependent on the rotation, how tightly it's wrapped as well. Think of it like this. If you're spinning and your arms are out, you're spinning a little bit slower, but you start to pull those in and you can get spinning a little bit faster. We've seen that with a couple of these cells. In fact, we have confirmed tornadoes. We had that confirmed tornado for Vanzant County now into Wood County, and we have that confirmed tornado for Red River County as well. There's that rotation there.
Yeah.
That is going to move over the Red River here shortly. Once again, moving at about, in fact, let's take a look at the speed specifically of that cell. See when it's out of here, because on its heels for Red River County, we've got another warned area that does have some tight rotation. This is moving through Mount Vernon. Bogota, this heads your way and eventually into Clarksville. There's that rotation right out over Clarksville. That the National Weather Service has confirmed is a tornado moving over Clarksville.
And again, as you were saying, anytime we see the purple boxes, that means a confirmed tornado was in fact confirmed there in the area.
Yeah, it means some kind of trained spotter. Not just anybody, like I mentioned, not just anybody can call in and say, hey, I saw a tornado. It is a funnel cloud until we have confirmation that it touches the ground. That can be from a couple of things. So this purple box, either a trained spotter has made contact with the National Weather Service, they've seen an image, or they've started to see a debris ball. And once you see the debris, there is indication that that tornado has made contact with the ground. It's starting to spin some of that debris up. And so one of those couple things is what we've seen with this cell that's moving over Clarksville, and what we also saw through Vanzant County with that cell that's now moving into Wood County. But if you do live in Clarksville, you are in direct path of what is a confirmed tornado. This is moving over Highway 82, moving right directly over Clarksville, and that is tracking to the northeast. We were taking a look at exactly. It looks like, hey, Matt, if you're still in the control room, if we could, over time, get the picture from the National Weather Service chat of the funnel cloud in Canton. Go ahead and pull that up. It's not clear from the No worries. We'll get that picture pulled up for you here in just a couple of minutes. I'm taking a look. This was before, this would have been with that cell that moved into Vanzant County. This is before it made contact with the ground, but you can see that funnel cloud as it starts to extend down. So I'll show you that here in just a second as we get it pulled up. And we'll zoom back out to that area, which is still under a confirmed tornado in Wood County that was moving through Vanzant County. So here, to orient you a bit, there's Canton right there. And we had that rotation that moved right out over Canton. We were talking about the First Monday's flea market there and the amount of people who get set up for that and who make preps to go. Moved right out over Grand Saline over time. And now that same cell has moved into Wood County, which again is getting out of our area. East of Alba, just west of Quitman. This is north of Mineola at this point. Mineola, you are under a separate tornado warning as well. Edam, we have that tight rotation there north of Brownsboro. And we've got a little bit of rotation in, there it is, the southern end of Vanzant County. This is separate than the confirmed tornado we were talking earlier. That is moving over Edam. That will head into Smith County and head toward Lindale. So that'll move just to the north and west of Tyler. And then as we take a look farther to the north, all along this same frontal boundary, we still have really tight rotation here. This is crossing over 30. This is north of 30. This is off to the west of Mount Vernon. We have hail with most all of these, right around quarter-sized hail with each of these cells, and then that heavy rain, likely rain-wrapped tornadoes. And you can see that that rotation is now moving. This is right close to Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon's still got to make sure you're taking shelter as this makes its way eventually over the Red River and pushes into Oklahoma, but it's going to be some time before it gets there. Let's walk you through that track. It's got to get into Red River County eventually as this moves away from Sulphur Springs. So this is Hagensport at 356, Bogota at 410, Sherry 420, Clarksville 429, Avery 440, Ackworth 448. But as we were talking about just a couple of minutes ago, plan for this to arrive a little bit earlier. We've seen these pick up the pace a little bit, and in quite a few instances, they're getting there a little bit sooner. Clear that out for you. Take a look at where we've got all those warnings at this point. The National Weather Service is shrinking quite a few of those warnings. We've still got 2 purple boxes on the map. We've got that one that moved out of Vanzant away from Canton and has now moved into Wood County. And then we have that confirmed tornado box in Red River County. That is moving as we speak right out over Clarksville and tracking to the northeast. That'll make its way over the Red River here shortly. Then we move down into, got the radar doing its own thing again. Here we go. We move down into Hopkins County. This is east of Sulphur Springs at this point, right along 30 though, and now moving into Mount Vernon. You'll notice the National Weather Service has shrunk that box. We're gonna reorient our radar again so we can give you a look at all of those. It's pulling a lot of data in. We're pulling those velocity scans, we're pulling the radar in. That can start to overwhelm the radar system here and there. Let's turn the satellite back off, get rid of the cloud coverage. We know there are clouds there, and we don't need those lightning strikes. They overwhelm the radar as well. Makes it harder to see where we've got those warnings. These are shifting mainly off to the east of our area. So Wood County, you are still under that confirmed warn box, that confirmed tornado, purple there.
And McKenna, it's my understanding also just from some of the things I've been reading here, and I think we also reported it, this is all part of a larger outbreak, right? That's predicted for several days.
Yeah, so we've seen this, in fact, clear up into the Midwest, thousands of miles.
Right.
Let's
Look at
zoom
that.
out for you. Yeah.
It's massive.
Just back 36 hours ago, we had dozens upon dozens upon dozens of tornadoes and tornado warnings and confirmed tornadoes through the state of Arkansas. And really, we in North Texas have been on the southern verge of a lot of that the last several days. We've seen the strong storms for East Texas, but most of those turned into warnings as they crossed over and headed into Oklahoma, headed into Arkansas, and eventually up into the Midwest. But places like Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, eventually into Ohio, they have seen several tornadoes and warned areas in the last several days. This is a frontal boundary that's just sitting here, and what we're going to see through today and into tomorrow, we have a trough. We have that dip in the jet stream right out over the Four Corners region. That trough is going to shift farther to the east, and as it does, it gets this frontal boundary out of here, which is exactly what we would like to see. So we will continue to see the severe weather really where it's sitting now and then off to the east of us as we head through the next several hours through this evening. And then as that trough pushes in, we'll have that threat for some severe shower activity, severe storms overnight and into tomorrow. As that trough pushes farther to the east, the threat expires for North Texas into tomorrow afternoon. And then we've got a stretch of some drier, nicer days. We eventually see the return of the sunshine into next week as high pressure takes hold. But for now, that frontal boundary has been very stationary. And so we have seen several storms right along that. I want to zoom back in here. We have another tornado warning issued for Hopkins County. Let's see if that's for the same cell here. Let's turn our velocity scan back on. That is for the same cell we've been talking, which means they will expire this warning here just in the next couple of minutes, I would expect that. So Sulphur Springs, you'll be out of that warning, but you've got another one just behind it. You've still got to make sure you're staying weather aware in Sulphur Springs. I do think most of this will pass east of you, but just keep watch, keep that in mind the next couple of hours here. That cell is moving really into northern Hopkins County, and that will move into Red River County right on the heels of what is a confirmed tornado moving through Red River County that will cross over the Red River here in the next 20-30 minutes or so. But this is all just riding along that same front. These are taking these same paths and really leaving quite a bit of damage on their heels where we've got those confirmed tornadoes on the ground. Wood County is where we have that first one that started in Vanzant.
And McKenna, while you're doing that,
yeah.
Karen Borda, just looking at this, I know that, again, we were talking about how this had kind of been predicted for several days now, and it's coming to fruition exactly as we feared that it might. But we do know that some of these warnings are set to expire, hopefully, right? But the watches are going to persist for several more hours?
So we do have, yes, that is correct. So we've got a couple of watches to talk about. And in fact, I'm going to make sure we've got the tornado watch in effect. I'll pull that graphic up for you here in just a second. Those tornado watches expire at different times depending on the county that you're in. For most of our area, that tornado watch is in effect for 10 counties till 9 p.m. tonight. I've been talking about, I think most of the threat for us starts to wrap up 6:30, 7 o'clock this evening. But that gives us a little bit of leeway, right? Say the front stalls and doesn't move to the east quite as quickly. That gives us a little bit of leeway. So I think by 6:30, 7 o'clock this evening, most of North Texas is in the clear and this moves into East Texas. But let me name off some of those counties where that tornado watch sits. You've probably seen the alerts on your phones, but we've got places for Central Texas like Anderson, Henderson, Milam, Leon Falls, Robertson, Freestone, Limestone counties. We've got Hopkins and Rains County through 9 p.m. Vanzant County is included. I'll pull up that map so you can see where we're located here. We'll get that tornado watch. We're kind of following right in that path. This is our SPC outlook for today. And those cells really right in that level 3 and level 4 risk. Moving up into Oklahoma and Arkansas, really just clipping portions of Oklahoma. But let's pull that tornado watch up for you so you can see Sometimes it's a little bit easier to tell where you are if you can see it on the map. We've seen the severe thunderstorm warnings on top of this. In fact, the last couple of days, quite a few of our counties have been under that severe thunderstorm warning, or that severe thunderstorm watch, and then we've seen those warnings on top of that, I should say. Now let's pull up this tornado watch map for you so you can see which counties are included in this. So notice this is all just to the east of the Metroplex, anywhere in the yellow. So this includes Corsicana, Athens, Mineola, Sulphur Springs. This is all really off to the east of 45, well to the east of 35, and right where we just saw in that Storm Prediction Center outlook where we see that level 3 and level 4 risk, it's right in that path. So it includes Mineola, Sulphur Springs. This is just east of Paris. This gets into Red River County, where we actually do have a confirmed tornado on the ground right through Red River County. That is that tornado watch in effect until 9 p.m. As I mentioned, I do think most of the threat wraps up a little bit before that for North Texas and shifts into East Texas. We're getting back to the radar here. We'll zoom right back in on where each of those warnings is. Turn off our lightning strikes here. We've got 3 purple boxes on the map. Wood County, that's that cell that moved through Vanzant County. That is a confirmed tornado. Confirmation that that did touch down in Vanzant County. And then we have confirmed rotation, confirmed tornadoes moving into Red River County. This is moving out of Hopkins. Turn on the velocity scan here. There's the rotation there with that as it moves out of Hopkins. This will push into Red River County. This is headed toward Talco. Clarksville, you've really seen quite a bit. Rotation moving over right now, and you've got another cell right on the heels. Let's walk you through the storm timing of that as it eventually gets closer to the Red River. So Hagensport, 4:05. Right now it is just about 4 o'clock. So you've just got a couple of minutes before this heads into Hagensport. Talco, 4:11. Wilkinson, 4:23. 4:36 at Clarksville. Avery, 4:47. We get into Ackworth, 4:56. We've seen these cells speed up a little bit, so give or take 10 minutes or so. Just make those preparations. If you are in Hagensport, you need to be in that safe spot. Talco, head that way right now. We get into Wilkinson, you have a little bit of time, but not much. So start rounding up the kids, rounding up the pets, and making your way into that safe spot. That interior room, lowest level of the house, no windows, no exterior or walls.
This is CBS News, Texas.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for CBS News Texas at 4 o'clock. I'm Ken Molestina.
And I'm Karen Borda. In the last hour or so, we've been tracking several tornado warnings in our area and some tornado watches that are going to linger for the next several hours. The CBS News Texas storm chaser headed to Canton right now in Vanzant County, where we understand that, where a tornado warning is still in effect and that a tornado may have actually touched down.
There's a shot of what it looks like in that area as they head out there. I want to get right back to meteorologist McKenna King, who's been keeping a close eye on all of this here and sort of tracking it for us in the last hour. What's the latest on what you're seeing there, McKenna? And I know you were just on, so we're just resetting here.
Yeah,
where you
that's
left off.
exactly right. Giving people a refresher, if you're joining us just now, that tornado warning has expired for Vanzant County, but we have confirmation that that tornado did touch down in Vanzant County. So when we get the red boxes on the map, and we have quite a few of them, that is that tornado warning where we're seeing the rotation and where it is possible that that could extend to the ground level. But then you see some of the purple boxes like we've got in Wood County and up into Hopkins and Red River County, moving over the Red River. Where we see those purple boxes, that is where we have confirmation that a tornado has touched the ground. That confirmation comes from the National Weather Service in a couple of different ways. Whether we start to see that debris ball and the debris starting to lift up off the ground, that is a sign that the tornado has touched touchdown. Spotter reports from trained spotters, great image that shows the connection to the ground. So we've got a couple of those on the map. This one in Wood County, that is the same cell that moved near Canton through Vanzant County, which is where we have confirmation it did touch down, and now it has moved into Wood County. Just south of that, we do have another tornado warning on its heels where we've got some more rotation, and then we get farther to the north through Hopkins County, just east of Sulphur Springs. We have another warning. We have two more purple boxes moving really from Hopkins County into Red River County. That is two different areas of rotation, two different cells that are moving right through Red River County. These are all tracking to the northeast at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. So they're moving fairly quickly, but they are dumping heavy rains through this area. We have a chance that we're seeing some of these tornadoes that are rain wrapped because we have so much rain falling with these, and then we start to get that rotation and that pulls some of the rain with it. So that makes them a little bit less clear, a little less visible. But what we do have working in our favor is it is the daylight. So while it's gray outside, it does make them a little bit easier to see than if they were arriving during those overnight hours. Still can cause devastation nonetheless. So we are tracking all of those areas. If you are under any of these warned boxes, you want to make sure you are in that safe spot until your warning expires. Get to the lowest level of your home, that interior room that has no windows, no exterior walls. We'll walk you through the timing and really the path of each of these cells as they do take that northeastward track. We are under a tornado watch, at least for parts of our area, really off to the east of 35, and most of those watches are east of 45 as well. But notice we have Wood County included in two separate warnings. We've got the purple box, that's where we had the confirmed tornado through Vanzant County. And then we've got the other area of rotation just to the south of there. So this is moving over 20 into Wood County. We get farther to the north and we get into really Rains and Hopkins counties. Rains County is included in that confirmed tornado warning there as well, it looks like. Or no, you know what, it's just on the edge there. There we go. So both of those are moving through Wood County. We get farther to the north though, Hopkins County. This other warned area, that is for what was the confirmed tornado moving through Wood County. You can see that rotation headed towards Seymour right there, just to the east of there really. And Sulphur Springs has been a spot where we have seen several areas of rotation in the last hour, hour and a half or so. And we have another round on the heels. This will pass just to the east of Sulphur Springs. These are all riding along the same frontal boundary that has been bringing us storm activity the last several days. It's just been oscillating back and forth through North Texas, and it's remained pretty stationary through the eastern sides of North Texas for the last couple of days, bringing those storm threats. We've seen large hail associated with this, upwards of golf ball sized hail at times. At this point today, we've seen hail upwards of ping pong ball sized hail. So that's 1.5 inches in diameter. Most of these cells are carrying up to quarter sized hail with them. They are tracking to the northeast. We have more rotation up through Red River County. You can see where those greens and those reds meet. That green is going toward the radar. The red is moving away from the radar. And we start to see some of that wrapping there. That is another purple box, which means we have confirmation that that tornado did touch the ground at some point. So that's an area to keep a very close eye on as well. These are shifting ever so slightly to the east. That is a good sign for us. What that means is that frontal boundary is shifting to the east. We've got a flash flood warning on top of that tornado warning. This is for Red River County. Let's see if we can get some roads for you. An extremely dangerous tornado over Hagensport just a couple of minutes ago. This was 356, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. We've been talking about how some of these speed up and slow down. And then on top of that, we have the flash flood warning right in that area as well, which means there is actively water standing on a roadway somewhere within this blue box here. Flash flood warning is another thing. You don't head out and turn around, don't drown. If you do see the water on the roadways, find a different route. Hopefully you're not out, because on top of the flood warnings, we have 3 tornado warnings right in your vicinity. Bogota, we've got rotation right out over you. Talco, this is moving right over you. That's a different cell. And then we move into Clarksville, and just north and east of Clarksville, we have that next area of rotation. Zooming in here, this is going to get eventually over the Red River here in just a couple of minutes here, and that pushes into Oklahoma. So that is headed out of Red River County. Looks like we're getting into some rural pockets up there, as you would expect, closer to the river.
So, McKenna, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You were saying something that just piqued my curiosity here a minute ago, that when you said that this is a different cell, how many cells are we talking about here? Because we do have a picture that we want to show of a tornado that we believe the one that touched down in Clarksville. Here we go.
Let's see it.
Yeah. So taking a look at that right now. But this is different than the one that we were just looking at on radar, right?
So we have got, we've kind of got this line. Let's reorient ourselves right here. I'm going to turn the reflectivity back on. So notice how we have this line really stretching, and then you zoom in and we've got individual cells along this line. So you start to see rotation in different spots. Just this line of thunderstorms. In fact, if I turn on the lightning counter, just look at this. Look at how many lightning strikes exactly that we've got on this map. So I've had those turned off just because you can't see the reflectivity values beneath them. But we have got hundreds of lightning strikes within this line of storms that really stretches. I mean, it stretches up into the Midwest, but for Texas, we're talking about a 200-mile stretch of storms that are just riding along the same frontal boundary that's brought us storms the last several days. So 200 miles worth of storms with cells inside that line. We have those red boxes, those are those tornado warnings where we're seeing the rotation, and then we have the purple boxes where we have confirmation of tornadoes on the ground. This purple box up top, that is crossing over the Red River right now, but see, we've got another one on its heels. The blue box, it's active here. We've got a flash flood warning there, which means we actively have standing water on the roadways. You don't want to be in one of those scenarios. That is enough water for that flash flood warning that it can start to sweep things away. So not something you want to be out in, but that's on top of all of the tornadic activity. We have got 3 tornado warnings active in Red River County right now. Now, some of those warnings are for the same cells, but not all of them. We see this extension down into Wood County. That tornado that we were watching through Vanzant County, confirmed tornado on the ground in Vanzant, that moved into Wood County. But then we had another cell that pushed right into Wood County. So some of them, yes, to answer your question, from the same cell. Some are different cells that are spawning new tornadic activity, but they are all associated with the same frontal boundary and the same line of storms there. We're zooming back into Wood County here. I'm going to turn the velocity scan back on. We do still have quite a bit of rotation. This is south of Mineola. This is getting in north, really north and west of Tyler. So that's really pushing out of our area. But we head further north in places like Sulphur Springs in Hopkins County. That is in our area. And that we have seen some rotation with several warned areas near Sulphur Springs in the last hour. This next area, that is moving over 30.
Important point out also that image that we just had. I don't know if we can pop that up here that we just had up a second ago.
Yeah.
It's one of our first images of the tornado and the size of it right now. And McKenna was pointing out that is a different one. And McKenna was pointing out these are just funnel clouds until they touch the ground, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But several of them were confirmed. However, this one. And just because we've seen so many of these pop up historically in this area before, you can sort of see the funnel coming out, but also the clouds on top. I mean, this is a significant size tornado here, or funnel cloud in this case, right? We don't know if this was the one that was confirmed or not.
This likely did come from the same cell that had the confirmed tornado. I will say that. I can't see connection with the ground right in that picture just yet, like you guys were saying. But it is likely. I mean, we've got 2 confirmed warn boxes that moved right through Clarksville. I'm going to go ahead and say this was probably, if we flip back over to the radar here, the velocity scan, I'm going to go ahead and say that probably came from this cell right here. where you see that rotation, that'll cross over the Red River here shortly and push into Oklahoma. But we do still have rotation associated with that. A funnel cloud till it does touch the ground, but we do have confirmation of 2 tornadoes right through Red River County that have made contact with the ground, and that is 2 different cells within that line. Here's that secondary area of rotation. Look at that. That is tight rotation. We're seeing wrapping of that cell. This is right near Talco. Again, these are all moving just to the east of us. They're taking that nudge to the east. So I'm going to give you one more roundup of exactly what we're looking at. As these are starting to slowly make their way into East Texas, we do still have several active warnings through Red River County. We have confirmed tornadoes on the ground from a couple of different cells, 2 different cells there. We also have that flash flood warning. We get farther to the south, Hopkins County, that area of rotation is moving out of Hopkins County. We get farther south of there and into Wood County. That starts to extend into East Texas and out of our area. A couple of flash flood warnings there as well. This is from a frontal boundary that's just been sitting here the last couple of days. It will sit here as we get through this evening and really overnight, but it's starting to make those nudges ever so slightly to the east, which is good news for us in North Texas. We do have tornado watches for those eastern and northeastern counties until 9 o'clock tonight. Of course, I'll keep an eye on things, and as additional warnings do pop up, I'll keep you apprised of those and bring you up to date with everything where those are tracking. But as of now, those are taking that slight nudge to the east, which is what I will expect the next several hours through this evening as that front pushes this way. We've got a trough moving in, a lot going on, and that is starting to push that frontal boundary into East Texas. So a problem for them, but that is good news for us here in North Texas, guys.
Yeah, and McKenna, thank you so much for the time being, for bringing us all this up-to-date information. Of course, we are going to check with you in just a little bit, but there is some other news that we'd like to get to as well.
Some big stories. Thank you so much, McKenna. The city of Frisco is rallying behind the family of Austin Metcalf 2 days after his violent death inside a school stadium. People are donating money and sharing their support on social media. A business where he and his twin brother and mother work is going a step further by organizing a fundraiser for the family. Our JD Miles joins us now from Frisco with more on that. JD.
Karen and Ken, the owner of Halo Pizzeria here on Panther Creek Road, considers the Metcalfs part of her family. They have been working here since the restaurant opened 2 years ago. A fundraiser is scheduled for April 14th. The owner, like a lot of people in this city, are doing anything they can think of to support this family during their time of need. Austin Metcalf, his mother Megan, and twin brother Hunter interviewed for jobs at Halo Pizzeria on the same day, according to the owner, Carrie Ordas. She was devastated to hear about what happened to Austin during the track and field meet on Wednesday morning. She says she keeps in touch with Austin's mother and feels moved to do something more. Ordas says the restaurant will hold a fundraiser sometime in the next 2 weeks to help the Metcalfs with expenses they were not prepared for.
It just kills me and disgusts me every time I think about it. And, you know, I don't know what that future is going to look like for her in terms of funeral, possible legal. And I just wanted to, you know, I've honestly never created a GoFundMe. I didn't even know, like, how to really do it. When I got the news, I just was like, I need to figure out something that we can do.
Earlier today, we received a statement from Austin Metcalf's mother. It reads, "My son and I are profoundly thankful for the overwhelming support, prayers, and love we have received. Tragedies inevitably raise questions that remain unanswered. We will entrust the detectives handling the investigation to determine the circumstances surrounding Austin's passing, while our family, Hunter, and I prioritize commemorating and honoring Austin. We extend our gratitude to everyone who has supported us in numerous ways and help sustain our family during this difficult time." As for the suspect in the fatal stabbing, Carmelo Anthony has been moved to the Collin County Jail where he has been charged with murder. The police report has been released, and according to officers at the scene, the 17-year-old admitted to the knife attack but claimed self-defense and that he had been assaulted first. Also of note, that police report includes the names of 27 students and half dozen coaches who were witnesses to the trauma inside the stadium, and they were witnesses to the crime. Coming up at 5, we will talk to an expert who tells us how to deal with that trauma that they could carry with them for years. Live in Frisco, JD Miles, CBS News, Texas.
JD, thank you very much. Really appreciate that update.
And we continue to track rounds of storms in our area. We're taking a live look outside right now. One of our storm chasers cutting through town, headed out east. Our McKenna King has got your forecast and the very latest track on some tornadic activity out east in just a little bit. Stay with us. Don't go too far. Welcome back, everyone, as we're continuing to follow some First Alert weather. Let's get over to McKenna King right now, tracking the very latest on this tornado outbreak that we're following out in the east part of our viewing area.
Yeah, starting to push into East Texas right along our frontal boundary, which is slowly starting to shift farther to the east. That is good news for North Texas, bad news for East Texas, but it does mean it's starting to push out of our area. We have had a couple of confirmed tornadoes through Vanzant County that moved into Wood County, and then those purple boxes that you see through Red River County as well, pushing over the Red River, one of those cells as we speak. All those purple boxes, that's where we have seen confirmed tornadoes on the ground. Those red boxes, like places like Mineola, we've got one there right now. That is where we're seeing some rotation. No confirmed tornado, but it could turn into one a little bit later. We've got some soaking rains right through that area too, and pushing into East Texas, places like Hopkins County. Paris has really seen the brunt of this the last several days, but these are all shifting off to our east and up into the northeast. Those will push into parts of Oklahoma and Arkansas as time goes on. These are right in the areas where our Storm Prediction Center outlook has us under that level 3 and 4 risk. Pretty spot on with that outlook. Now, on top of that, we've got a tornado watch for the east sides of North Texas and then into East Texas. This is through 9 o'clock tonight. I was mentioning this just a couple of minutes ago. I do think our threat starts to expire a little bit before that. We get closer to the 7 o'clock hour tonight, and in fact, we're already starting to see a lot lot of this activity shift farther to our east. So this is our future cast. Here's 7 o'clock. Notice most of that severe threat is moving into Arkansas, moving into Louisiana. Then we get beyond that point and we have a trough that moves in. That brings us some heavy rains into the overnight hours through Saturday morning. We have a significant hail threat through Saturday morning. The tornado threat is lower. It's not non-existent, but it's not as quite as high as what we've seen this afternoon and this evening. Now, Saturday morning is when we'll see that severe threat and our soaking rains. We get into the afternoon and things start to taper off. Just some isolated shower potential here and there Saturday. Check that out. Snowfall for parts of West Texas and the Texas Panhandle as we get into Sunday. No snow for us, but it's interesting to see on the map following all that we've seen this week. Our rain chances really build after midnight and through those overnight hours. And again, that hail threat as we get into tomorrow. We have that marginal risk for severe storms. That is that 1 out of 5 risk for most of the Metroplex. Here's how Dallas looks right now. Not good. 58 degrees is what we sit at. 57 for Fort Worth, 56 in Bowie. We've still got a couple of drizzle drops right through Dallas. Now, first alert weather day does extend into tomorrow for the first half of the day. The greatest storm coverage during the first half of your Saturday. Those morning hours, we have a large hail threat and a wind damage threat. Following that, things start to clear up into the afternoon and evening. We're drier to end the weekend, but we drop into the middle 50s, so much colder behind it. And then we've been asking for this. We get it. We get the sunshine next week. It returns. We slowly start to warm up. A nice stretch of sunshine. Monday, Tuesday, we work from the upper 60s into the middle 70s. By Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we finally work our way back up into the 80s with that sunshine there. And we're looking nice and dry through that point, guys. High pressure takes effect. And so we're not looking at storm chances through the end of that. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Police tell us a mother who crashed into the Trinity River and later died crashed intentionally. That crash took not only her life, but the life of her one-year-old child. 2 weeks ago, she was pulled from the water and taken to the hospital where she later died from her injuries. The child's body was found in the river the day after the crash by a dive team. That death has now been ruled a homicide.
481. That is the number of measles cases we're now seeing in Texas. The latest update today from the Texas Department of State Health Services added 59 new cases since Tuesday. A total of 56 patients have been hospitalized and one child has died since the outbreak started in late January. Texas leads the nation in measles cases.
Well, stocks are tumbling for yet another day, all of it in response to President Trump's tariffs.
But a number of North Texas farmers say they are hopeful about new tariffs. You're going to hear why in their own words.